There is yoga mat chemical in the bun, not a metaphor. Azotocarbonamide, used to make yoga mats and shoe soles, is a listed ingredient in McDonald's hamburger buns. Banned in Europe. Legal here? That's not even #1 on this list. So here's what took me a long time to figure out. This isn't a quality control problem. It's a business model. Silicone in the McNuggets, hidden beef in the fries, carrageenan in the desserts. Every ingredient, a calculated, board-approved decision. They counted on you never asking. Stick around. #1 is in every Happy Meal served to children today. Let's go 15. The bun contains an ingredient banned in multiple countries. Start with the bun. Before the patty, before the sauce, before the cheese, start with the bread that holds the whole thing together because what is inside it sets the tone for everything that follows. McDonald's burger buns in the United States contain azotocarbonamide, a chemical compound used as a dough conditioner to improve texture and extend shelf life. Azotocarbonamide makes bread softer, more uniform, and more resistant to the kind of structural degradation that would make a bun feel stale or fall apart under the weight of its contents. It also makes yoga mats. Azotocarbonamide is used in the production of foamed plastics, specifically in products like yoga mats and shoe soles, where it functions as a blowing agent that creates the spongy, flexible texture those products require. The fact that the same compound serves both purposes is not a rumor. It is chemistry. The European Union has banned azotocarbonamide as a food additive. Australia has banned it. The United Kingdom does not permit its use in food products. The World Health Organization has flagged it as a potential respiratory sensitizer, meaning occupational exposure to the compound in its raw form is associated with asthma and allergic reactions in workers who handle it. What is coming at #14 involves the beef itself. Specifically, a processing technique applied to McDonald's ground beef that the company quietly phased out after public outcry, then reintroduced in ways that most customers never noticed. What that technique actually is, and what it does to the meat, is something every McDonald's customer deserves to know before they order again. 14. The beef has a processing history that McDonald's hopes you have forgotten. In 2012, McDonald's announced it would stop using a beef product that had acquired the nickname Pink Slime in media coverage. The formal name was lean, finely textured beef, and it was produced by processing beef trimmings and fat through a centrifuge to separate residual lean meat, then treating the resulting product with ammonium hydroxide to kill pathogens including E. coli and salmonella. The public reaction was swift and severe. McDonald's removed it from its supply chain within weeks of the story gaining mainstream traction. What received considerably less coverage was the subsequent normalization of lean, finely textured beef back into the broader American food supply, including in products that supply fast food chains under modified processing standards and reduced ammonium hydroxide treatments. The product did not disappear, the scrutiny did. McDonald's current beef supply chain is subject to the same industry-wide practices that govern all large-volume ground beef production in America. Ground beef at McDonald's scale requires sourcing from multiple suppliers, processed at facilities handling enormous quantities of beef from cattle of varying origins. The pathogen intervention treatments that drew attention during the pink slime controversy are standard across this supply chain in various forms, not unique to McDonald's and not eliminated by its 2012 announcement. The beef in a McDonald's burger is legal. It meets every applicable regulatory standard, and it is processed in ways that would significantly reduce consumption if those processing details were printed on the menu board rather than buried in supplier documentation. What #13 reveals moves from the beef to what surrounds it. Let's get there. 13. The sodium load is a medically documented health risk for seniors. A McDonald's double cheeseburger contains 1,050 milligrams of sodium. The American Heart Association recommends that adults consume no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, with an ideal target of 1,500 milligrams for adults with hypertension, a category that includes the majority of Americans over 65. One burger, one item, before the fries, before the drink, before the apple pie that gets added at the last second because it is only $1 more. One burger delivers between 45% and 70% of the entire recommended daily sodium intake for a senior managing blood pressure. The mechanism by which excess sodium elevates blood pressure is well established and not meaningfully contested in the medical literature. Sodium causes the body to retain water, increasing blood volume, which forces the heart to work harder and increases pressure on arterial walls. Sustained elevated blood pressure damages those walls over time, increasing the risk of heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, and cognitive decline. For seniors, for whom cardiovascular risk is already elevated by age alone, and for whom the kidney's ability to excrete excess sodium decreases with age, the sodium content in a McDonald's burger is not a dietary inconvenience. It is a medically documented risk factor being delivered in a paper wrapper with a trademarked logo. That is the sodium. What is at number 12 goes deeper into the chemistry of the burger itself. 12. The preservatives and additives form a chemical cocktail with no long-term safety. Datum McDonald's burgers contain a list of additives, preservatives, and chemical compounds that individually meet FDA approval standards. What does not exist, and what no regulatory body has ever required, is comprehensive long-term safety data on the combined effect of consuming these compounds together, repeatedly, over years and decades. This is called the cocktail effect, and it is one of the most significant and least discussed gaps in food safety regulation. The preservatives in McDonald's burger components include calcium propionate in the bun, sodium benzoate in certain condiments, and various phosphates across multiple components. Each of these compounds has been individually assessed for safety at specific exposure levels. None of them has been rigorously studied in combination with every other compound present in the same meal, consumed multiple times per week over the course of a decade. None of this constitutes proof that a McDonald's burger causes specific harm in a specific individual. The research is associational, not causal in most cases. But the absence of proof of harm is not proof of safety. And the regulatory framework that approves these compounds individually while never requiring combined safety assessment is a framework that protects manufacturers far more effectively than it protects consumers. Number 11 moves from what is in the burger to something that happens to the burger before it even reaches the restaurant. Let me show you. 11. The supply chain. Distances make freshness a mathematical impossibility. McDonald's serves nearly 70 million customers daily across over 40,000 locations in more than 100 countries. The logistics required to sustain that volume are extraordinary, and the meat supply chain that feeds it operates at a scale that has specific and unavoidable implications for the product arriving at any individual location. Beef destined for McDonald's enters a supply chain that involves cattle operations, feedlots, slaughter facilities, processing plants, grinding operations, patty forming facilities, blast freezing, distribution centers, and finally, individual restaurant locations. Each transition adds time. Each transition adds distance. The patty that arrives frozen at a McDonald's location may have traveled through multiple states and multiple facilities over a period that its frozen state obscures but does not eliminate. This is not fraud. It is physics and logistics. But customers ordering a burger deserve to understand that what they are eating is the end product of a supply chain engineered for scale and cost, rather than for quality and freshness. What is at number 10 is something that McDonald's has spent considerable resources addressing publicly, while the underlying issue remains structurally unchanged. 10. The antibiotic use commitments have been repeatedly walked back in. In 2015, McDonald's made a public commitment to source chicken raised without antibiotics important to human medicine by 2017. The announcement was celebrated by public health advocates and generated significant positive press coverage for the chain. The reality of what followed is considerably more complicated. McDonald's met its chicken commitment with qualifications. The definition of antibiotics important to human medicine excluded a class of antibiotics called ionophores, which are used extensively in poultry production to promote growth and prevent intestinal disease. Ionophores are not currently used in human medicine, which allowed McDonald's to technically fulfill its commitment while the actual antibiotic use in its chicken supply chain continued at significant levels. The beef commitment has been weaker still. McDonald's beef supply involves cattle that may receive antibiotics throughout their production cycle, with commitments focused on reducing rather than eliminating use of medically important antibiotics. The reduction targets, timelines, and verification mechanisms have been revised multiple times since 2015 in ways that have consistently loosened rather than tightened the original pledge. McDonald's public communications on this issue read as genuine commitment. Its supply chain documentation reads as an ongoing negotiation between public relations goals and the operational realities of sourcing at scale. For customers who made purchasing decisions based on the 2015 announcements, the gap between promise and practice is a form of consumer deception that has never been adequately acknowledged. Number 9 takes a different angle entirely, moving away from ingredients and supply chains and into something that happens in the McDonald's kitchen itself. 9. The holding times turn a mediocre product into a poor one. McDonald's quality standards include specific holding time guidelines for every cooked product on the menu. These guidelines exist because the company understands, at a technical level, that cooked food degrades over time in ways that affect both safety and quality. The guidelines are posted in every kitchen. Every employee is trained on them. They are also, according to former employees across multiple locations and multiple years of service, routinely exceeded during busy periods when the priority is speed of service rather than product quality. Burger patties held beyond their optimal window become drier, tougher, and less flavorful as moisture continues to evaporate and protein structures continue to contract. French fries held beyond their window become soft, greasy, and limp. Fish patties held beyond their window developed the off flavors that former employees describe as the primary reason they stopped eating the Filet-O-Fish. Chicken products held beyond their window lose the textural contrast between exterior and interior that makes them palatable. The economic logic that drives holding time violations is straightforward. Throwing away food that has exceeded its holding window costs money. Serving food that has exceeded its holding window costs nothing unless a customer complains, which most do not, because most customers do not know what the product should taste like when it is genuinely fresh and served at its optimal quality. What is at number 8 moves from operations back to ingredients, specifically to a category of fat used in McDonald's cooking that has a history with the company that most customers have completely forgotten. This is more crazy than you thought. 8. The cooking fat. History is a story of public health failure. McDonald's cooked its French fries in beef tallow for decades. The flavor was extraordinary. The cardiovascular implications of large quantities of saturated animal fat were significant. And when the health advocacy community focused on saturated fat as a primary driver of heart disease in the 1980s and 1990s, McDonald's responded by switching to partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. Partially hydrogenated vegetable oils are the primary dietary source of artificial trans fats. Trans fats are now recognized as one of the most harmful substances in the modern food supply. So definitively harmful that the FDA banned their use in 2018 after decades of research established their causal role in cardiovascular disease. The scientific consensus on artificial trans fats is about as clear as nutritional science gets. They raise LDL cholesterol, lower HDL cholesterol, increase inflammation, and directly increase the risk of heart attack and stroke. McDonald's switched to trans fats in response to public health pressure about saturated fats. It then spent approximately 2 decades serving those trans fats to hundreds of millions of customers daily while the research on their harms accumulated. It transitioned away from trans fats only after regulatory action made continued use impossible. The pattern here matters as much as the specific substance. McDonald's did not proactively protect its customers when evidence of harm emerged. It maintained a harmful ingredient until external compulsion removed it. The same pattern of reactive rather than proactive response to evidence of harm characterizes its handling of the pink slime controversy, its antibiotic commitments, and its sodium levels. A company that has demonstrated this pattern across multiple ingredients and multiple decades is a company whose current ingredient choices should be evaluated with that history clearly in mind. Number 7 is about something McDonald's markets actively and loudly as a point of quality differentiation. What the fine print on that marketing actually means is a lesson in how language can be used to imply things that are not technically being stated. 7. The 100% beef claim means less than you think. McDonald's advertises its burger patties as 100% pure beef. The claim is prominent, repeated across marketing materials, and clearly designed to address consumer concerns about adulteration and filler content. It is also a claim that requires careful definition to understand what it actually guarantees. 100% beef means that the protein source in the patty is entirely bovine in origin. It does not specify which parts of the animal. It does not indicate grade. It does not speak to the age of the animal's diet, how it was raised, or what interventions it received during its life. It does not address what was added to the beef during processing, since water, salt, and other substances added during grinding and patty forming are not beef and therefore do not affect the 100% beef designation of the protein component. Number 6 is something that affects every single person who eats a McDonald's burger, but that almost nobody is aware of. 6. The sugar content is hidden across every component. The McDonald's burger is not a product most people associate with sugar. It is a savory item. Meat, bread, sauce, cheese, vegetables. Nothing about the experience of eating it signals sweetness in any prominent way. The sugar is there, distributed across components in amounts individually small enough to stay below conscious perception and collectively significant enough to matter nutritionally. The bun contains sugar and high fructose corn syrup. The ketchup contains high fructose corn syrup. The special sauce contains sugar. The pickle relish contains sugar. The processed cheese contains sugar. Each of these contributions is modest in isolation. Together, across a single burger, they deliver a sugar load that triggers an insulin response in the consumer without the consumer having any awareness that they consumed meaningful sugar at all. For seniors managing blood sugar, prediabetes, or type 2 diabetes, hidden sugar delivered in a savory context is particularly problematic because it arrives without the behavioral cues that normally accompany conscious sugar consumption. There is no decision to have something sweet. There is no awareness to prompt moderation. The sugar simply enters the system without announcement. Number 5 is the argument that defenders of McDonald's most frequently deploy, and it sounds reasonable until you examine what it actually concedes. This list. 5. The everything in moderation. Yeah, defense requires McDonald's to admit its own product is harmful. When McDonald's and its defenders respond to nutritional criticism, the most common response is that any food can be part of a balanced diet when consumed in moderation. It is a disarming argument because it sounds reasonable and because it places responsibility entirely on the consumer. It is also an argument that implicitly concedes every criticism it is deployed to deflect. If a McDonald's burger is safe and appropriate to consume only in moderation, that is an acknowledgement that regular consumption is not safe and not appropriate. Moderation is a concept that only applies to things that cause harm at higher doses. You do not advise moderation for water or vegetables. You advise moderation for things where excess creates documented negative outcomes. The moderation defense also assumes that consumers are making a free and fully informed choice. It assumes they know the sodium content before they order. It assumes they understand the additive profile. McDonald's spends approximately $2 billion annually on marketing. It does not spend equivalent resources ensuring that every customer ordering a burger has access to the information they would need to make a genuinely informed moderation decision. Number 4 is the argument that cuts closest to the legal question embedded in this entire conversation. Because while calling for McDonald's burgers to be illegal is a provocation, there is a documented regulatory precedent for exactly this kind of intervention that most people have never heard of. 4. Regulatory precedent exists for exactly this kind of intervention. The idea that a widely consumed food product could be regulated out of its current form based on documented health harms is not hypothetical. It has happened. It continues to happen. And the precedent set by those regulatory interventions illuminate exactly why McDonald's burgers exist in their current form only because of the specific gap between what science documents and what regulation requires. Artificial trans fats were banned. A substance consumed for decades by hundreds of millions of people was removed from the food supply by regulatory action after the scientific evidence of harm reached a threshold that made continued legal permission indefensible. The FDA acted. The industry complied. The substance disappeared from legal food production. The pattern is consistent. Substances that cause harm remain legal for years or decades after initial evidence of harm emerges, because the regulatory threshold for action is set high enough to provide the food industry with an extended window of continued use. Additives carbonamide in McDonald's buns is on this trajectory. The sodium levels are on this trajectory. The specific combination of additives present without combined safety data is on this trajectory. History suggests that eventual regulatory action will confirm what critics are documenting now. History also suggests that the action will come decades after the evidence first emerges. Number 3 is the most personal dimension of this entire argument, the one that moves from chemistry and regulation into the lived experience of the people most affected by everything on this list. 3. Seniors are the most vulnerable customers, and the most specifically targeted McDonald's knows who its customers are. It has sophisticated demographic data, purchasing pattern analysis, and marketing research that identifies which customer segments drive which revenue streams. It knows that seniors represent a significant and growing customer segment with specific behavioral patterns, including a tendency toward habitual purchasing and a higher frequency of breakfast visits than younger demographics. It markets to that segment accordingly. Senior coffee discounts value menu pricing that fits fixed income budgets, familiar menu items that have been part of customers' lives for 50 years. The McDonald's of a senior's childhood is the McDonald's they return to by habit and by emotional association, and the company understands and leverages that emotional connection with precision. Marketing that targets seniors specifically, combined with product formulation that ignores senior-specific health vulnerabilities, is a combination that prioritizes revenue extraction from a vulnerable population over the well-being of that population. There is a word for targeting vulnerable people with products that cause them specific harm while obscuring the nature of that harm. That word is exploitation, and it is happening at scale, with golden arches above the door. Number 2 is the counter-argument that this entire conversation demands, because intellectual honesty requires acknowledging the strongest case for why McDonald's burgers are not illegal and probably will not become illegal, and why that case, while legally sound, is morally inadequate. 2. The legal defense is solid. The moral defense is not. McDonald's operates legally. Every ingredient in its burgers meets applicable regulatory standards. Its nutritional information is disclosed. Its marketing does not make false health claims. Its supply chain meets USDA and FDA requirements. In every measurable legal dimension, McDonald's burgers are a legitimate product sold by a legitimate company operating within the law. This is precisely the problem. The legal framework governing food safety in America was not designed to optimize for consumer health. It was designed to prevent acute harm, the kind of foodborne illness that kills people quickly and creates undeniable causation. It was not designed to address chronic harm, the kind that accumulates over years of repeated exposure to legally approved combinations of additives, excess sodium, hidden sugars, and processed fats. The gap between what is legal and what is safe is not a technicality. It is the operational space in which the entire processed food industry operates. It is the space where a company can knowingly serve sodium levels that contribute to cardiovascular disease, knowingly include additives banned in peer countries, knowingly target vulnerable populations with products specifically harmful to their physiological profile, and remain entirely within the law while doing all of it. The moral case against McDonald's burgers does not require proving illegality. It requires acknowledging that legal and ethical are not synonyms, that complying with inadequate regulation is not the same as protecting the people you serve, and that a company with $2 billion in annual marketing budget and full access to the nutritional science documenting the harms of its product has made a series of deliberate choices to prioritize revenue over the health of its customers. Those choices are legal, they are documented, and they are, by any ethical standard that places human well-being above corporate profit, indefensible. 1. The cumulative case is the one that cannot be dismissed. No single item on this list proves that McDonald's burgers should be illegal. That is not how this argument works, and anyone presenting it that way is not presenting it honestly. The azotocarbonamide in the bun is legal. The sodium content is disclosed. The processing history of the beef meets regulatory standards. The holding time practices violate internal guidelines but not law. The antibiotic commitments are aspirational rather than binding. The hidden sugar is distributed across individually compliant components. The targeting of seniors is sophisticated marketing, not criminal conduct. Taken individually, each of these points can be addressed, deflected, or minimized. Taken together, they describe a product that contains a chemical banned as a food additive in dozens of countries. Processed beef with a history of controversial interventions. Sodium levels that represent a medically documented cardiovascular risk for the population most likely to consume it regularly. a cocktail of additives with no combined long-term safety data. That cumulative picture is what the title of this video refers to. Not a single smoking gun ingredient, not a single provable cause of a single specific harm. The pattern, the choices, the gap between what this company knows and what it ensures its customers know. The gap between what its marketing implies and what its supply chain documentation reveals. The gap between the legal standard it meets and the ethical standard it fails. 70 million people a day, millions of them seniors, all of them deserving better information than they are getting from the menu board. You now have that information. Use it. If this changed how you think about what you are ordering, hit that like button right now and subscribe. The people who follow this channel make better decisions every single day because they refuse to take the menu board at face value. The next video is on screen right now. We are ranking the best and worst grocery stores to buy meat in 2026, from the chains you should avoid entirely to the ones delivering genuine quality at prices that make every other option feel like a compromise. You will not want to miss a single entry.